Hi, I'm going to talk about trauma bonding and use some of my own experiences to explain what it looks like so people can get a greater understanding. When you are trauma bonding, it's easy to mistake abuse as love and not let go. Trauma can become easy to overlook when the abuser shows up as someone caring for you. There are many people who are in an abusive relationship who don't realise their they don't realise they experience mental abuse. And as we know, and if you don't, mental abuse often confuses and wears you down into ignoring various types of trauma as love. So when you're holding out to be loved, and I know looking back on my own experience, this was because I didn't love and value myself enough. So I was outwardly looking for someone to give me what I needed to have and own for myself. If you are looking outwardly for love, you can easily become drawn to an abusive relationship and totally misread the signs of love instead of abuse. So I invite you to look at, is it love or abuse due to trauma bonding? So I'll ask you this. Have you ever fallen head over heels in love, hard and fast, then it all went wrong with abusive behaviour, and then you find it hard to break away from that toxic love? Real love doesn't always hit so hard and fast. Real love is steady as you go, getting to know one another, getting to know the real person, instead of when you are attached to a trauma bond, it can feel overwhelming, captivating when you feel lost love for someone. This is hard for some to hear, but it's true. This is not real love, it's attachment through trauma. So after many years of being active within my own deep healing journey, I've looked at where my trauma bonding behaviour came from. And I've done that as part of my healing and why I stayed in an abusive situation for 10 years. Many people can pinpoint a distorted reality linked back to a childhood experience. Hence why a lot of people do inner child work. I myself have done extensive inner child work to aid me in my healthier journey moving forward. So before I touch on my experience, I want to make something really clear. I grew up with a stepdad who I called Dad, and he was a most amazing king. I'm not referring to him within my sharing. My trauma bonding was created through repeated abuse I suffered as a child. For many years I was sexually abused. So my abuse became internalised as a learnt pattern of behaviour for attachment. So if you experience abuse with someone who's supposed to protect and love you, and for me this was massive because it was my biological father, then you learn to associate love with abuse. This became part of the distortion, part of the learning of how to relate to others and form relationships. So I had that experience as a child. So what is love? What does it look like? How does it feel? So for a child to rationalise that behaviour, surely they are going to form a trauma pattern expecting, in order to feel love, you get abused. In a cycle, it's a cycle. Because of my shadow work and inner work, in the here and now I identify with the trauma bonding I had so clearly. Have you ever, in order to attach to an abuser, learnt to meet their needs and make them happy for you to receive love and approval from them? If you have, then that has become your benchmark for love. You please your abuser in order to receive what you ultimately want, which is love. And within all of that, not only is the abuser speaking negatively to you, you also use negative self-talk. You feel you're not good enough. You're not, that you're just deserving of punishment. So then you must not be good, right? To receive the love you want. What you are actually doing is opening yourself up to attract an abusive partner so you can get them to love you. You keep repeating the pattern and putting up with the abuse because it's an internal bond that keeps you attached to your previous experiences, be it a parental abuse, so you don't feel abandoned or not good enough. People justify and minimise the abuse, self-blame as you become unaware that you are being abused. It can be very difficult to acknowledge the abuse, as you can bring up a lot of inner feelings like abandonment alongside whatever it is for you, not feeling enough, etc., etc. But all of that is reinforcing the cycle of attachment pattern you have with the abuser. Where you need to get to is doing the inner work with honesty and get to the root cause of where it all started and dig that root out and let it go with love, light and forgiveness. I know that shadow work and inner work can be at times very painful process and sometimes a very long one, but I say let it go with love, light and forgiveness, as you don't want to then pick up the self-harm pattern and continue to do to yourself what the abuser was doing. Forgiveness isn't about other people, it's about you. You don't want all that toxicity and poisoning. You don't want that to poison yourself and your body. To forgive is not to forget. It's about mapping out a beautiful, healthy and better life for you. If you hold on to all the toxic stuff, you're going to stunt your growth and happiness. You know, when you're good, it benefits you and all in a positive way. The shame is not yours to carry. Put it down. The shame belongs to the abusers and the people supporting them. You've got this. I believe in you. Thank you for listening.